Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Week 16 of the 2022 NFL season. Most importantly, I'm going to be talking about some takeaways from the Sunday slate of games for Week 16. So, the NFL decided to give everyone a Christmas Day triple header as the 2022 season winds to a close. Their Monday night, Week 16 closes out, and then we got a couple weeks left. I hope everybody enjoyed their Christmas. By the time this video is uploaded, it'll be Monday. So again, I hope you all enjoyed your Christmas. I know I did. You had a near full slate of play on Saturday, but on Sunday the Dolphins would host the Packers. The Broncos travel to Los Angeles, where it seems like that was the only place where there was a warm weather game being played. And then the Buccaneers would head to the desert to face the Cardinals. Probably a warm weather game there. I didn't see what the temperature was in Arizona, but probably was pretty warm there too. So there were some stakes involved, either playoff scenarios, draft slotting, and or future franchise implications. And as per usual, the results of NFL games do provide repercussions that will reverberate throughout the league. How hard they reverberate tends to be determined. Sunday's action might have been limited, yet those games had some stakes and also some headlines coming out of the holiday appearances. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the takeaways, starting with the Dolphins. And well, unfortunately for Miami, they're falling apart when games matter most. They had an 8-3, so after an 8-3 start, including a victory over their AFC East rival, the Bills, this team looked capable of capturing a division title and doing some significant damage during the postseason. But Miami is now in the fight of its proverbial life just to make the playoffs. After Sunday's defeat to the Packers, the Dolphins lost their fourth straight contest, tumbling to 8-7 overall, but still hanging on to that 7th and final AFC playoff slot. However, the margin for error continues to grow slim. The Patriots, Jets, Titans, and Steelers are now only one game behind them with 2 weeks left to play in the regular season. While the quarterback position tends to get far too much credit and blame, Tua's performance against the Packers is the starting point of Sunday's downfall. Miami led 20-3 at halftime, or 20-13 at halftime. During the final 30 minutes, the Dolphins quarterback would complete 8 of his 14 passes for 96 yards and throw 3 interceptions, including a game-clinching pick with 1:34 left to play. The final turnover proved to be embarrassing for a couple of reasons. First, the Packers completely fooled Tua with their coverage, and Rasul Douglas easily dropped into the zone to make the play. Second, Tyreek Hill ran across the field wide open, and yet the quarterback didn't seem to look his way. Even the Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel doesn't understand what the team can do to help them get back on track, but hopefully they can figure out something, because the Dolphins, if they don't, well, they're going to need a holiday miracle to set things straight in time for things to matter this season. But this is a little bit unfortunate. They're kind of coming apart towards the end of the season, but hopefully they can kind of figure things out. Packers still clinging to postseason life during the holiday season. So Packers technically are a worse team than the Dolphins, at least from a record standpoint. Yet the 7-8 squad that is still trying to enter the postseason seems to be doing better than the 8-7 team that holds the 7th playoff spot in the AFC. And why is that? Well, you look at these teams, they're heading in opposite directions. Miami's lost 4 in a row, they're trending backwards. Green Bay has won its last 3, they're trending forward. The Packers' victories, and now 2 of those victories have come against the Bears and the Rams, which might not be all that impressive considering those are 2 of the worst teams in the league. But the Dolphins came out strong Sunday, but head coach Matt LaFleur had his squad weather the storm and found a way to win the game, and when they needed, and they got it. And now the Packers have the same record as the Seahawks and Lions, who are all a half game behind the Commanders, who are holding on to that 7th and final playoff spot in the NFC. And while their defense, the Packers' defense, can be inconsistent, and they can't rely on turnovers each and every week to help them win games, the Packers are doing a couple things right on the other side of the ball to keep their momentum going. In the last 2 weeks of the regular season. First, they finally figured out that they have one of the league's best backfields, which I guess, if there's a time to figure it out, I guess now would be a good time. Probably would have been better to do that earlier, but, hey, better late than never. As the late great Mike Leach, he wants to find a balanced offense as getting the ball into all of the playmakers' hands. And in this case, Green Bay has been producing a near 50-50 split on running and passing plays. And when the 4-time league MVP Aaron Rodgers does drop back, he's well protected, and Rodgers might not be playing to the same level as his previous 2 seasons. His 11 interceptions are his most since 2011, so he's not nearly as consistently accurate as he once was, but the team's ability to run the ball effectively, coupled with a non-crumbling pocket, will give Green Bay a chance to win over the next couple of weeks, and they will certainly need to be more consistent coming up against the Vikings and Lions to finish out their season. And it just so happens that both those teams rank among the bottom half of the league against opposing ground games. So moving on to the next game, starting with the Rams, Baker Mayfield could be a long-term option for the Rams. And bear with me on this one. So you look at Baker Mayfield's professional career, and I guess one word to describe it would be inconsistent, both in his performance and the situations he finds himself in with some of the teams he's been with. The Rams appear to be the right place for Mayfield to stake his claim as a long-term option under center. He'll have to be patient, though, if that is the case. The short-term turnaround of the Rams with Mayfield behind center, it's been amazing to watch. Since joining the team on December 6th after being waived by the Panthers, or released, I don't quite remember which one it was. The other way, the Rams 2-1 with Mayfield as their starting quarterback. And that second win was certainly their most impressive victory of the season, with they just simply beat that win against the Broncos, in which the Broncos were beaten, victimized, and conquered by the Rams. During the contest, Mayfield would complete 24 of 28 passes for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns against one of the league's better defenses. Despite all of the issues currently found in Denver, the Broncos defense deserves credit for its seasonal performance. That group entered the game ranking among the top 3 in scoring defense, total defense, and 3 and outs forced. Yet Mayfield and company would shred the standout unit. The Rams never even punted. Again, Mayfield hasn't been with his new team for a full 3 weeks, yet he looked as good Sunday as he has at any point in his career. And situation matters. The former number 1 overall pick joined his 3rd team in 6 months after failing at his previous 2 stops. At the same time, when you look at the Browns and Panthers, you can make the argument that they failed to provide stable setups for Mayfield. Since entering the league, Mayfield has played for 7 different head coaches, 2 interim. So the only constant Mayfield's had in his career has been change. And at certain points, he still performed well despite all that adversity, despite all that change. But the ability to operate continually and effectively failed him. His mechanics fell apart. Poor decision making, particularly in crucial moments, cropped up too. Injuries only made things worse. Mayfield might come to the realization that, Mayfield needed to realize he didn't need to carry the whole team, even though he would try to do so through everything. He's got, that's a very franchise quarterback kind of mindset as well. The Rams, they've just been a different setup for him. They're established. They have a great head coach in Sean McVay with a proven system. The roster features top-level talent at multiple spots. It might not look like it now, but, those guys are out with injury. And so it might be in Mayfield's best interest to kind of set up some roots in Los Angeles, even if he's not going to be the immediate starter. A year behind Matthew Stafford, taking a full year to learn the system and just kind of take a break, step back from everything he's had to endure so far, could prove beneficial for his career, for his physical health, for his mental health. And you think about Stafford, he's had some issues with his elbow and his neck recently, and the Rams front office, they can't, they shouldn't be overlooking the backup quarterback position. And also Stafford, if you want to factor age into it, he turns 35 in January. He was already playing poor before going on injured reserve this season. And if the Rams were considering trading him, it would save them $31 million after June 1st, or release him with the same designation, which probably won't happen, but it's a possibility. Currently, Mayfield is scheduled to become a free agent after the season, and sure, he can take the chance of joining another franchise and trying to throwing himself back out there in the starting role. The guarantee to find what he has currently with the Rams, though, he might not find that. He might. That's the risk of putting himself out there. He might not find what he has with the Rams elsewhere. A little foresight, coupled with some patience by the player and his representation, can have him starting again by the age of 29, which is still a good age for a quarterback to be a starter. If not sooner, depending on the injury situation. It remained and arguably the best setup of his career. Again, I would understand he's a competitor, he wants to go on and be a starter, but Mitchell Trubisky kind of took a year off after things didn't work out with the Bears, drafted number 2 overall, expected to be the guy. It did not work out. He took a year off behind Josh Allen, kind of disappeared. And while I wouldn't say he came back better than ever, things didn't really work out for him in Pittsburgh, but nonetheless, he got an opportunity, and he started. So, I don't know, maybe a year off might be best for Mayfield, but let's see what he does. And as for the Broncos, nothing to say there. I mean, that was just bad. We're just going to move on. And then go into Sunday night's game, starting with the Cardinals, and stepping away from the Cardinals might be the right move for Cliff Kingsbury. So, when it comes to coaching, it's a difficult profession at any level. Certainly something I would never have an interest in. And as an NFL head coach, you are basically the de facto CEO of a billion-dollar franchise, and the pressure to perform today probably greater than it ever has been. Cliff Kingsbury spent 6 mediocre seasons with his alma mater, Texas Tech, before jumping into the professional ranks, and he's now spent 4 mediocre seasons with the Cardinals. With his current setup seemingly spiraling out of control, the Cardinals are now 4-11 after Sunday's overtime loss to the Buccaneers. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong in the desert. Primarily, Kyler Murray tearing his ACL, which could prevent him from being in the lineup at the start of the 2023 campaign. General Manager Steve Keim stepping away from the team, taking a leave of absence for health reasons a couple of weeks ago. TBD on whether he actually ever comes back. Meanwhile, it sounds like the relationships within the building are just deteriorating more and more by the day, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Josh Weisenfuss. Kingsbury might consider walking away after the season because the past few seasons have taken their toll on him, which is certainly understandable. I mean, things have not gone well for the Cardinals, but to the coach's credit, he did refuse to report. But then again, what else was he supposed to say? Was he supposed to confirm it? When confronted with it, he's going to have to deny it. That's just not saying you shouldn't take his word for it, but I'm just saying, what else was he supposed to say there? But he's quickly becoming a tarnished option, particularly if the Cardinals situation gets any worse, whether publicly or privately. And besides, Cliff Kingsbury might just pull Dave Getterman and just be like, you can't fire me, I quit. Because, let's be honest, owner Michael Bidwell might be looking to make some significant changes, so rather than getting fired, he can just be like, yeah, no, you can't fire me, I quit. Again, Dave Getterman sort of thing too. And, maybe that helps his reputation and, allows him to walk into a college program of his choosing, should he be interested, once he's ready to return to the sidelines. As of now, current setup in Arizona, it's not working, and everyone, on the outside certainly sees, the inevitable outcome, and probably everybody on the inside sees it as well too. So yeah, things are kind of not good in Arizona. And that's just kind of my feeling too, is general manager and head coach out. It's going to be a total rebuild. You invested money in Kyler Murray, and the results simply were not there. So I understand doing a complete rebuild, or at least just a change up in general. And as for the Buccaneers, well, not much to say other than that team still stinks. I mean, their defense is solid, but their offense is so bad. And I was struggling to understand it, but then I realized that no matter how great Tom Brady is, if he doesn't have pass protection, there's only so much he can do. And that's why this game went into overtime. That's why this game dragged on for so long. That's why the Buccaneers mainly produced points through field goals, because their offensive line is so inept that they can't really just move the ball as much as they would like to. So it's an important reminder too that you can have the greatest of all time at quarterback, but if he doesn't have guys up front that can adequately block for him, it doesn't matter. So, and really, there's nothing the Buccaneers can do to fix that. That's just going to be an issue that's certainly going to handicap them going forward. And yeah, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.